this was the first time that the Defense Department or the military showed themselves to be incapable of leadership, I wouldn't be mentioning it. You know that I have backed U.S. Marines unfairly accused of crimes they didn't commit. I gave my own money. Many of you gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to the defense of many of them. Well, now we have a new campaign and a new case. This one may be the most egregious example of military cowardice and insanity, and it has to do with Lieutenant Behenna, a member of the elite Army Rangers. And his mother joins us right now, Mrs. Vicky Behenna, right now in the Savage Nation. Mrs. Behenna, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, this is one of the most outrageous examples of military injustice I've ever seen. And you are yourself a U.S. attorney. Is that correct?
I am. So
and your husband is a former agent of the FBI?
Well, he's an analyst for the FBI, former agent for the State Bureau of Investigation, yes.
Well, how could this be happening to your son then?
I don't know. I wish I could answer that in a quick answer. It's been an unbelievable experience, to say the least.
Now, my headline is Another Soldier Railroaded for Doing His Job, Save Michael Behenna. Can you please tell us, from your point of view, what your son is accused of doing and what evidence was withheld in his defense?
Yes. Michael's platoon was hit in April of 2008. Michael read a military intelligence report that a man by the name of Ali Mansur was a member of Al-Qaeda cell and that Al-Qaeda was responsible for the hit. So the platoon goes out and they detain Ali Mansur. 10 days later, and they take him into the custody for the military intelligence.
Wait, Mrs. Behenna, how many men did this man, this Mansur, kill?
He killed 2 of Michael's soldiers, seriously injured the platoon sergeant and the company medic that was traveling with him, and 2 Iraqi citizens that were traveling with the platoon.
All right, so your son has the guts to go out as a U.S. Army Ranger and hunt them down, unlike the military brass that hides behind double talk in Washington. Pardon me for adding some of the anger I have for these phonies. Please go on.
Well, he detains him. Michael thinks that's going to be the end of the Mansur. He's not going to have to worry about him. Mansur lives in Michael's area of operation. I mean, the platoon has to go into his town every day. 10 days later, Michael finds out he's going to be released. Michael asks the military intelligence guys to do more interrogations because he realized that they didn't ask Mansur anything about the IED attack on April 21st that killed his soldiers. And they do a little bit of an interrogation, but they tell Michael it really doesn't matter what he's going to say. He's been ordered released, and Michael is ordered to take him home.
Oh, my God. So, in other words, whoever did this is now doubly, how shall I say, insulting your son.
Yes.
So somebody in the military brass not only let this terrorist killer go, but he tells your son to take him home?
Yes.
Oh, my God. This is definitely some type of vendetta from somewhere.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I work in the world of police officers a lot, and never when there's a partner shooting do police officers even get involved in arresting or taking the suspect home. I mean, you just...
But before we go on to what happens next, now I'm getting really, really intrigued. You are a U.S. attorney, or you were a U.S. attorney, and didn't you prosecute some individuals in the Oklahoma City bombing?
Yes, I did, and I still am a current U.S. attorney.
Do you think that there is some kind of political payback here from somebody?
I can't imagine why. I mean, I'm just a little assistant. I mean, I'm just a federal employee that does federal prosecutions. I can't imagine, although that's been suggested to us before.
Well, we'll go into that a little later. All right, so your son, Michael, an Army Ranger, is now not only told to take this murderer back to his village, but what happens next?
Well, Michael decides if the Army military intelligence wasn't going to obtain the information that he needed to protect himself and his soldiers, that he would do it himself. So he takes Mansur out, he takes his interpreter with him, and he does an interrogation. And Michael sits him on a rock, and he has his service weapon drawn on him, and he begins asking him, who are the members of the Al-Qaeda cell? Where are you getting your financing? Why are you traveling to Syria? At one point in time, Mansur gives an answer that Michael didn't understand. Michael understands a little bit of Arabic and knew that he kept saying, no, I don't know anything. Michael turns to look to his translator to get the interpretation, so he knew what he'd said. When he turns his head from Mansur, he hears a rock hit the side of the culvert that they were in. Michael turns back. Mansur, during the interrogation, was seated. He is now standing. He has his arm outstretched. Michael thinks he's reaching for his service weapon, so he fires a controlled pair. And Michael is then charged with the premeditated murder of Ali Mansur.
So, in other words, basically, he had the guts to be on the front lines, and the cowards with all of the medals on their chest in Washington have decided to railroad your son. What was the penalty? What did they charge him with?
They charged him with premeditated murder. The penalty for that is life in prison. Michael told me not long after there was an investigation, he said, "Mom, if they just know what happened out there, it'd be okay." In my experience in the criminal justice system, I was told Michael that, well, that's okay. The truth, trials are a search for the truth. That's what we do. Because the story gets worse as the trial proceeds and the evidence that was withheld.
It gets worse in the sense that an expert witness who corroborates your son's side of the story, owing to blood spatter evidence and whatnot, his testimony was thrown out. Is that correct?
It's hidden. He's the government.
In other words, they wouldn't even admit the evidence that supported your son.
They wouldn't even tell the defense lawyers. They sent him home.
But why? Why are they persecuting Michael Behenna? Why? Who's doing this?
I wish somebody would tell me. I don't know if it's incompetence or fear or political correctness or all of the above. I don't know. But I know the criminal justice system well enough to know that if you're...
Well, where is your son right now? Where is he, in a military jail?
Yeah, he's at Fort Leavenworth Prison.
Oh, my God. How long has he been locked up?
They took him into custody in March of last year.
Oh, my God. You know, when people say to me, how are things, I never complain. Because I say to them, things are great. I don't want to complain because God will punish me if I do. I can't imagine the hell you're living in.
It's been unbelievable. As I said, I promised Michael that trials were a search for the truth and that justice would prevail, and to know that the government prosecutors had evidence that their own expert told them their theory was wrong, and that Michael's rendition of the story was correct, and they didn't give that to the defense counsel and sent the expert home is just something you...
When you said they, who was they?